Now, during the time that I am recording this, it is the 5th anniversary of the YouTube channel Ghoul Grumps. And I just want to say right now that I am a huge fan of it ever since the beginning. I kid you not. I remember the first time that I ever gotten hooked onto Ghoul Grumps was back in the summer of 2012, and every night I would watch Aaron and John play Goof Troop, and that was when I was at Walt Disney World. I was just on vacation and I was just watching them, and honestly, it was really a fun way to end my night after I would go and have fun at the different theme parks that's in Disney World. So really, it was just fantastic, and I was just hooked ever since. And even to this day, I would still go and watch whatever crazy shenanigans that Aaron and Danny and all the other Grumps would have. So I decided, you know what, after 5 years of just watching their goofiness and just playing video games, I want to do something special for them. I want to do a little bonus thing for the 5th anniversary of Ghoul Grumps. But what though? Well, that is actually pretty interesting because after following them for so long, I noticed that they have been fans, or particularly Aaron and Susie, are actually huge fans of one particular thing, and I've noticed that throughout several of their videos and some of the pictures that they would share on social media. And that is the Disney attraction, the Haunted Mansion. So I figured I pretty much discovered this crazy idea that I had about mixing these two elements to create this awesome idea. Now, maybe somebody thought of this before and maybe artwork of that actually exists, like the idea that I had, but you know what? At least I'll have my interpretation of it, so let's just see how it goes with it, and yeah, let's get spooky. Before I would get started and jump into the actual artwork themselves, I did a bunch of warm-up drawings by doing caricatures of the Grumps I plan to work on. Not only is it to help me know how to draw them in my style, but also as a reference sheet in case I need to fix up their faces on the real art that I would work on. Which is actually all the time, and I feel so thankful for having it in the first place. I'll explain more on that later, but I'll just say that drawing and inking it on paper is only one part of doing the line work here. Anyways, as you can see right here, the portrait I'm working on first is the Dynamite guy, and I decided that the man who will take the solo part here is the main Grump himself, Aaron. I also decided to draw the candle separately so that I could add it in later. I mean, lighting the fuse is kind of the most important part of the piece, so I have to make sure I get it right. And just for the sake of reference, I switched the dynamite into something else that would make Aaron explode. Maybe it's not with this specifically, but hey, the name fits well with the situation that he's in. Okay, so going into the art process, like I said before, doing the line work proved to be much more of a challenge than some of my other artwork I've done before. Printing out the stretching room portraits made them a lot smaller than I thought, thus making the details harder to pull off on paper, and admittedly, this is not my best inking work that you'll see. This is why after scanning them onto the computer, I immediately went to fix them and make the lines better, especially on their faces to look more like the actual Grumps themselves and how I drew them, which is why I always had my reference sheet on the side. With that said, in terms of the time it would take me to make them, you're pretty much seeing a time lapse of approximately 3 hours each if you're also including the part where I would do it on paper first. Back onto the piece, I thought the portrait of the old lady on top of the tombstone would be a perfect fit for the not-so-Grump picture. I put Danny on top, who I just realized is the only one whose fate doesn't seem to be doomed out of all of them in this project, just sitting on the tombstone of the old not-so-Grump. I guess you could say this is the mansion's answer to whatever happened to John. Does it seem dark and gruesome? Yeah, but then again, have you been on the ride lately? Now, before I talk about the next one, you might have noticed the Grumps' costumes, and maybe they seem familiar. Well, I decided to stay in tune with the attraction's Victorian-era theme and have them be dressed up like how most of them were in one of their previous shows, Table Flip, starring Susie and Barry, where they play tabletop games with other Grumps and YouTubers. But as you can see here, this is where I worked on possibly the most famous of the stretching room portraits, the young lady with the hungry alligator, or crocodile, or whatever. Now, this can also be interpreted as a kitty cat gaming theme, since I'm using the Grumps' leading lady, Susie, and instead of the gator, I used her two cats, Mochi and Mimi, who want to drag her down into the sea of random pop culture cats. It could be possible that the cats may not have the right proportions, but for the sake of this art piece, let's just say that they share the same gene as Long Cat. Finally, I just want to mention beforehand that this is actually the first time I made the backgrounds by hand. In my previous works, I would cheat by getting a background from Google Images that would perfectly match with the digital art that I was working on. But for this one, I knew I couldn't cut around any corners, so I had to replicate them from the original portraits the best I can. I didn't go too crazy with the details though, but just enough to both pay homage to the portraits and fit with my art style. Now, last but not least, we got the quicksand guys. For this one, I decided to go with some of the other contributors of Game Grumps outside of Aaron and Danny. However, with so many to choose from, the different editors and the special guest, I ultimately decided to go with some of the recognizable ones who helped contribute the most to shape what Game Grumps is today. And those include Ross, Barry, and Brian. Also, for the latter, I decided not to go with his table flip outfit because I wanted Brian to dress up similar to the other guys, and what he had there was more steampunk than it is pure Victorian. Technically, all I did was just mix Game Grumps with Disney. But when you enter into the realm of Disney's darkest side, you might end up letting your imagination go into some freaky places. And there you have it, guys, the Haunted Mansion stretching room portraits featuring the Game Grumps. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I had fun making these things, and I just want to say right now, congratulations Game Grumps on so many years of awesome fun, and hopefully we'll have many more years to come featuring you guys and so much more, and hopefully I just wish you the best, and just see you grow even bigger so that we can all enjoy just a bunch of goofballs playing video games. So with all that said, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, well, see you later, dudes!